Hello and welcome to Hardy Party 5.5. What's up, babe?
It's a good day, Rebecca.
Is it?
It is.
So do you have a favorite joke?
You know, I'm not really good at one-liners.
Yeah, you're not.
Okay, thanks. It was a good day. No, I'm going to take that as positive feedback.
Okay.
I'm going to yes and this and make this more positive.
I'm glad you can.
I'm more of like something has happened and I react to what's happened and I say something funny or do something funny in the moment that's happened.
Right.
I don't know if that's improv or it's just reacting to things.
Yeah.
I'm not a good like knock knock, who's there kind of I just can't remember the jokes.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that you're right. Like you and Alex, actually, our youngest son, are very good at like kind of popping back, and you do it quietly. So in case you're like, if you're not like sitting next to you, you probably don't hear it, but it's usually like the funniest thing you've ever heard. And the person next to you is like spewing out their drink because it is hilarious. Where I'm definitely more like, let me have the microphone and have some funny things to say. But I think I'm more of a storyteller. Like I really like to when I think about a funny story, I think about how it should be said in my mind, like that would create the biggest impact at the end.
Well, and I'll also do pratfalls or I'll do something silly that people don't realize I'm being silly about it, to just like, and I do it a lot to break tension. Like if something's getting very serious, or if someone says I don't know how to tell jokes, then I come back with something funny to break the ice. But I'll like do pratfalls or fall down or drop something just to get a reaction.
Yeah, so we live in Dallas-Fort Worth, and around this area, there used to be a improv place called the Rubber Chicken. We used to
you mentioned the Rubber Chicken. I barely remember that, but now I do.
It's a long time ago. Well, I remember because I remember at the very end, they invited somebody on stage to, I don't know if you remember this, where they were like, if you can not laugh for like 1 minute or however long they gave them, we got free tickets to the next show. And I went up there and didn't laugh. I don't know how. But it's just one of those things where you like think of dead puppies or something. So I just didn't laugh and we got tickets to the next one. But now they have a thing in Dallas and Fort Worth called 4-Day Weekend.
They've been around, I think, 26 years now.
Yeah, they've been around a long time. And if you have not been to an improvisational comedy show, it is so funny. It's relatively clean. Like, I mean, they're pretty good about like, I think it's 18 and up still, but it's still like relatively clean.
Because they have drinks and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, the comedy is so great. If you have not watched improv, it is unreal.
Well, let's describe what happens. Okay. Like when we go. So they have a Fort Worth location and a Dallas location, which is fairly new. And when you get there, this is a theater style seating with a stage at the bottom. And they have Post-it notes. Right. And you're supposed to, they give you a category or a subject and you write a Post-it note and you just put it on the wall next to the stage.
So you write on the sticky side and then you stick it down. So nobody can see what you wrote, but it might be like write occupations or something like that. And you write them, you put things on the board. So then when the comedians come out, they have a kind of a general idea of where they're going, but you fill in the blanks from the audience, with the sticky notes. So that's how they kind of like get what they're doing. So it's improv because you literally just wrote that down. I mean, they probably get some of the same ones, but they still have a different set every time and probably different people on stage every time. So it ends up looking different all the time. And it just makes it so much more funny because this is not rehearsed.
Yeah, there's no way you could rehearse it.
There's no way you could rehearse it. It is so hilarious. So today our guest is Emily Z. You're going to find out her last name in a minute. But she works with 4-Day Weekend. She does improvisational comedy, but she's got a few other things under her hat too. Like she's a pretty smart lady and has a lot of her college. She went to University of North Texas, and her degree can't even.
It's such a long degree. I can't remember it. Like I can't remember jokes. I can't remember her degree.
Right. Her degree is on how people tick.
That's right.
And you're going to love this interview with Emily Z. You're going to want to go see some improv as soon as you're done listening. So here you go. Our interview with Emily Z. Hello.
Hey.
Thinking of crazy.
Hello.
What's up?
Perfect timing.
Yeah. You say crazy 3 times and I will appear. It's pretty wild.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah,
it's
sounds
great.
good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you so much for joining Hardy Party at 5½.
I love it. Yeah, thank you for having me. Dave says hello, by the way.
Dave. I love Dave. He's awesome.
He's the best. He's the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, we're big fans of his. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
so
a good bowler too.
a bowler.
Yeah.
He knows how to bowl.
Oh no, don't get him started. Don't get me started about Dave bowling. I've been dragged into that many times.
Have you gone bowling with Dave?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've gone losing with Dave is what I call it. Yeah, because there's no yeah.
Yeah,
He's pretty good. We played in Orlando. He's really good.
You played with Dave too?
Oh yeah.
I've never played with Dave.
Well, we gotta set that up.
Giddy up, let's do it. Yeah.
I don't know.
So Emily, thanks for joining Hardy Party at 5½. You know, you have 1,000 other things you could be doing, so I appreciate you taking time to talk to us today. And my first question is, what is up with your last name and how do you pronounce it?
You know, so I married into, it is Polish.
Okay.
And I met my husband in Chicago, which has a really big Polish community. So I went from Chapman to Zawisza.
Zawisza.
That is how it's said.
I would have
in fact, he just walked by and I think I got a thumbs up. So
you said it right.
How long did it take
exactly
to get it right?
It took me a minute. Actually, on our first date, I had him take out his wallet and prove to me that was his last name.
Oh
he was just making
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, also, I don't know if I would have believed him because it's not spelled really at all like that. Well, to me, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
That's a little questionable. So how did you guys meet?
We met, I was living in Chicago. I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area originally, but moved up to Chicago. And I met him on the train, on the Red Line,
Aww.
the most romantic of public transportation.
Yeah, right. Did you bump into
exactly
with your coffees and you dropped a book? And I mean, is that how it went down or no?
It is kind of a meet cute because we were in what's called the Loop. We were downtown. I was working at the time at Groupon and he works at Bank of America and he was at his office downtown. And we got onto the same train and I got shoved into his armpit. So I spent like right here. That was his armpit for about 3 stops and he did not smell bad. So, I mean.
Okay, yeah, good hygiene. That's what I was going to say. I mean, off the bat, that was like check 1. Yeah.
You got to be ready on the train.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm assuming that's a charming trait to have good hygiene. What's something he does that drives you absolutely crazy?
Oh gosh. That's a hard, let's narrow it down now. I would say, yeah. That he drives me crazy. He's very neat. So that's more of a fun thing. So like if he puts a blanket somewhere, I'll just kind of go make it askew just a little bit to see if he'll fix it.
Oh my gosh.
That's fun. It's a little fun being married to me.
Yeah, that's so funny. He is the cleaner in the house and we have like a stack of blankets that we keep.
Because we keep it really cold in the house.
And I fold the blankets and I put them there and he goes, do you think that you folded that blanket when you put it there? And I'm like, it looks folded to me. Mm-hmm. Like, no. Like the corners aren't matching perfectly and I just don't even try it.
I literally fixed all those this morning before we came in here.
Yep. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You have a problem. Yeah, it's those things like you're like, he's a neat person. I mean, he smells good and he's neat. So this should be great. But then all of a sudden those things that were so charming kind of start to drive you crazy.
Oh, I mean, conversely, like, yeah, of course you meet a comedian and oh my gosh, you're so funny. And then, 10 years of marriage, it's, oh, you think you're so funny.
Right. He's like, stop with the joke and have a conversation.
Oh man, that's funny.
Totally get it.
Okay, so let's go back to the start. You graduated from UNT, right?
I did, yes.
Mm-hmm. So then you took we've taken one of those classes. You took a 4-day weekend training. Yeah, one time. You took that and then you got the bug to want to be a comedian. So you go to Chicago after that. How did you end up in Chicago and what were you thinking?
Is that where all comedians go? Yeah. To Chicago?
Pretty much, yeah. So everybody that I respected that did improvisation at any sort of professional level or had training that I really wanted to emulate went through the Second City in Chicago. So when I was finishing up college at UNT, I had gone to LSU, I moved back to Texas, I was commuting into Denton, and I had time on my hands because I would go spend maybe 2 days worth of back-to-back classes. And then I was working and realized, oh, I could go take classes. I'd gone to see 4-Day Weekend for years. I saw them in high school when I was not 18. They love when I talk about that. It's an 18 and up club, children. But yes, so I loved 4-Day Weekend and thought, oh, this is such a great opportunity to take some classes. I had been a theater major for a while in college. Like I had the bug, but never really knew where I fit into the arts. I just had a passion for it. And then took the classes, fell in love with it, went through the full training program, graduated from that. And then I had a friend who was moving to Chicago and was auditioning for the Second City. And so I thought, you know what? I've never been to Chicago. I know nothing about the city except for it's windy. To get into the conservatory, which is a portion of the Second City where you have to audition, you also have to have a letter of recommendation. If you did not go through the what's called A through E program at Second City, the conservatory, you have to have somebody write a letter of rec saying like she's been through improv classes, this person's ready for conservatory, etc. So Dave and Frank wrote my letter of recommendation. I went up to Chicago, auditioned on a whim, thinking this is just something off the bucket list to say, oh, cool, I auditioned for the Second City. And then I accidentally got in and was like, okay, I think I have to move to Chicago in like a month. So I quit a sales job that I was not super passionate about anyways. Got an opportunity and took a job in the city and went through the Second City Conservatory. Wow. And that's how I got up there.
Okay, so what's your degree in?
Anthropology, sociology, and rehab.
Okay. Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
Say that
right?
again. What is it?
Sociology. I didn't get the last word.
Okay.
And rehab.
Oh,
okay.
Yes. Okay.
Huh. This all goes together.
All of it's,
how those.
I honestly, it's how people tick. And that's kind of, it is funny when I take a step back, all the classes and the things that I've studied, I realize, oh, it's really about behavior. And that's from an actor's perspective, it's how do you tap into those things, whether the byproduct is comedy or dramatic performance, whatever it is. It's really just studying how people and cultures work together and what motivates people.
Okay, that makes sense now.
I have a few questions here. Okay, first of all, are you an Enneagram person? Have you done the Enneagram?
I have, but also like I love all of those things, so I don't even remember what my numbers and colors are.
Okay.
If that's I don't remember.
Yeah, I was about to try to peg you. But my first question is like, you said improv classes, so like we did the free one at 4-Day Weekend, which I keep saying I want to do all of them.
Yeah, you loved it.
I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. But where else do you go for that? Like, is there other places to go for improv classes?
Yeah, so 4-Day Weekend, when we came out of the pandemic, we were very, very lucky to be able to reopen both theaters. The corporate work that we do, which we could talk about, essentially we, throughout the pandemic, instead of just waiting for it to blow over, we invested into a live streaming production studio into our Dallas location. And the corporate business, which I'm the director of corporate sales, our corporate business was thriving during the pandemic, which is crazy. So it kept us alive. It brought us a new revenue stream, but also it gave us the opportunity to, when we kind of came out, knock on wood, whatever this is, on the other side of it, we thought, okay, we want to give back to the community because so many other theaters, especially within comedy, did not make it to the other side. So we had the opportunity to open up classes. So anybody, no matter what your income level is, what your interest level is, you can drop in and do a class. So that's something that we're really proud of. Before the pandemic, we had a full training program, which was multi-level that you would take for over a year. So you would start at level 1 and then you go to level 2 and then you'd have graduate shows, much like the Second City setup. So that's what I did 15 years ago at 4-Day Weekend. But now the model's a little different to make it also more approachable. So people can take a fundamentals class, they can come in and take a characters class, follow a teacher, whatever rings their bell. Now it's easier to do that.
Do you teach any of the classes?
I don't, but I do our corporate keynotes. So
Okay.
what I focus on, I always say it's kind of the blend, the intersection of comedy and business, because my path to comedy, I realized, you could either dig your heels in and try to get to SNL, right?
All right.
Or be a writer for late night, whatever that is. And that's a very linear path, and it's really, really hard. And I respect anybody that has stuck to it because that's what it is. It's the mixture of talent and sticking to it and creating that opportunity for yourself. I was always working more on a sales or business side in Chicago. So I always felt this kind of weird juxtaposition of, I had this sales job, but then I take the sales hat off and I get to go do make em ups with my friends at night.
Yeah.
And then I realized that it doesn't have to be one or the other. And so being able to blend both is really where my passions are. So with our corporate keynotes, we train the art of improvisation, the philosophy, something called yes and. But I deliver that in large, it could be, I've done it for 4,000 people. I've done it for a group of 20, very scalable. But what it is, it's teaching through interactive activities how you improvise every single day. And those soft skills we all have, those presentation skills, those moments of empathy or leadership, is really by working this improv muscle can make us all better at that.
Totally agree.
So you mentioned the comedian, like most comedians, so many improv people go through Second City. Who are some people that inspired you comedian wise that like you've taken from?
Yeah. My top three, I'm going to say Lucille Ball, because I grew up and just like, I love Lucy, her physical comedy. I just remember sitting at home in the early 90s, like feet up on the TV, way too close to the TV, watching Lucille Ball and thinking she's beautiful. She's so funny. She's like the star of this show. I really looked up to her. Carol Burnett, of course.
Yeah.
If you watched her birthday special, I mean, I just boo-hooed and laughed through that whole thing. She's incredible. And then Joan Rivers, I thought, if you've ever seen her early comedy and what she did in late night and how she really could have been that breakout late night host, I think that her story is fascinating and I look up to her as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like all those people too. A big
You were big Lucille Ball, yeah.
Yeah, I like her too. And also, I mean, Tim Conway. I mean, he's hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's great. You mentioned that like you were going to a 4-day weekend, I think, when you were younger. I think our first experience was the Rubber Chicken.
In Dallas.
Have you heard of that? Like it's like even the Wayback Time.
Yeah,
machine.
I think it's
yeah,
that's what it was called a long time ago. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
So let's talk about your comedy first. When was the first time you did improv on stage?
I had an improv class in college, so I did a little bit there. And then I tried stand up when I was 18. And what's real funny is an 18-year-old who knows nothing about life. So I'm sure I was really great. But then improvisation, the first time I really performed was at 4-day weekend in our graduation shows. Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, that was just, of course, the bug that you get and want to do more of it.
So what was it like your first time on Second City hitting that stage? What did you feel like when the first time you went up there professionally?
Yeah, so what was really nice is I did the conservatory. So my performance at Second City was our conservatory shows. And that was really incredible because it was the first time working with a director who like a professional director that created the holistic show. So it was learning to not only perform, and Second City is improvisation to create sketch. So you improvise in your rehearsals, right? And then you get to say, okay, that character worked. I like the roadmap of where this scene was going. And you iterate through improvisation for the final, kind of like SNL. So that was a fun process, being able to do things again. Because when we do the improv show at 4-day weekend, we're improvising hopefully it's really funny, great characters. And then we will never do that scene ever again, which is really fun, but also somewhat heartbreaking at times because it's like, oh God, that's so funny. I want to see that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that the conservatory graduation shows were really exciting because you put on multi-day or multi-week runs of that show. And I was really proud of that. We also look from an ensemble perspective for the first time. And improv reminds me that it is really about the group, that we make each other look good. And so, for example, when you write a scene and we improvise that, the more people you can have in that scene, the more you can highlight other people and being others focused, the show itself is stronger, which is not as, a very ego-driven art form, to be honest. Comedy and putting yourself out there on stage, you want to look good. But what I love about improv is you start to focus on others. And by that, we all look better. Yeah. It's a pretty beautiful thing when you take a step back.
Yeah, I love that. That's kind of, when I think about like doing something like that, getting on stage, I'm an Enneagram 3, which is like performer achiever. So the fear of, bombing is like top of mind for three. Like, we don't like to look bad in front of people. So anyways, in that case, like, I think that changing the focus of like other people are more important here, like making sure that you're uplifting them and their skills and talents. I think that would be like key for me to know. So have you ever like left a stage and been like totally bombed that?
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Many times.
And so how do you recover from that? How do you recover? Like, I would probably go crawl in a hole. What do you tell yourself?
Therapy, emotional damage. It is, I feel like this, and I can hear I can float above myself being like, Emily, but failure is a part of life. And if you are afraid to fail, then you're not going to progress. So for example, it's interesting because I'm not a stand-up, even though I've done it. And now actually I'm doing more hosting, which feels a lot like stand-up, but I think improv gave me the roots to be able to do hosting and go stand on stage for 10 minutes and not have anything scripted. And that doesn't scare me now. However, it's thousands of hours of stage time that got me there. But I will say the first time I did stand-up, I killed, which is tale as old as time. It's the worst thing to happen to a new stand-up because I was just like,
that's all right.
The second time I was up there, not so good. And that was an absolute bomb. And what I learned there is a couple things. I think what I tell myself is now what I've learned, if I could go back and talk to 18-year-old Emily, 20 years later, almost 38. I would go back and remind myself and anybody who's performing that the audience is rooting for you. So if that's something that you fear is like to fail on stage, and that feeling, which is absolutely valid, we all have that. Of course, I don't want to look silly or stupid. What I remind myself is that the audience doesn't want me to be uncomfortable. They want to watch a confident person. Also, if I make a choice, and in our world, we say there are no wrong answers on stage. There are just higher and lower percentage choices, which is the loophole, essentially. But what that frees me up to do is if I make a choice and I'm playing at the height of my intelligence, even if it's a low percentage choice, what's perceived as a mistake, I know is really just an out of the box opportunity. So and actually, I don't even remember if, was this Lennox Live? Yeah, I was walking off the stage and there was tape and it's AstroTurf and I'm in heels and I almost fell off the stage. Tape got wrapped around my heel and I had been on literally just meeting this audience for like the first minute. I'm like, I'm going to go talk to somebody in the audience, and then I almost eat it.
Okay, so you went down the steps, right? You were going down the steps.
Yeah. I went down the steps.
Yeah.
And so what happened is, of course, I catch myself, but I had literal white tape is wrapped around my heel because it caught, and then I did not completely fall, but I whipped it off and I was like, I'm safe. And then whatever. But somebody took a picture of me falling, and that picture ended up being a part of the payoff at the end of the entire conference in this closer. So what I could have been embarrassed of, like falling, of course, because I'm human and I'm just meeting, I don't know how many people were there.
Yeah.
Like 1,000, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could have either looked at 1,000 people and thought, I am gonna go crawl back in bed and never face them again, or laugh at myself, whip the tape around my head and move on, and then open myself up for the opportunity that that moment, that funny photo of me whipping the tape around my head actually made sense at the very end, and it got a laugh. So that's kind of the thing that I tell myself is if we're constantly judging ourselves for perfection, we're not open to those opportunities.
That's so smart.
That's nice.
So smart.
Okay, let's go back to the Emily Z timeline. You're in Chicago.
Okay.
You meet your husband's underarm, his armpit.
Mhm.
You fall in love
Yep.
at that moment because he smells so good.
I've never fallen in love with your own bit.
Okay, good.
Just saying.
That's a healthy thing.
That's a healthy thing.
So then you're
other qualities. I'm just saying.
Thanks. So you're at Second City. So how long were we at Second City, and how do y'all end up back? How do you end up back at 4-Day Weekend?
Yeah, so when I was at the Second City, I did the conservatory, but I was working in sales. I got an opportunity to work for, if you know the satirical newspaper, The Onion.
Yeah.
I worked at The Onion, and I was selling advertising and essentially commercial content where we would create co-branded commercials, homepage takeovers, ads, all of that. So I was working in New York City, but my office was in Chicago. So I was flying back and forth every week. And then I was performing either at IO, Improv Olympic, formerly Improv Olympic, or the Second City, doing shows there. I was not on the main stage of Second City, so I was not in a review, but I got hired on later to work internally. So I worked for something called, at the time, Second City Communications, which became Second City Works, which is essentially what I'm doing at 4-Day Weekend, but through the Second City. So I was an employee internally working with brands and agencies to utilize the Second City's talent, and then also offer corporate improv training. My family's here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I grew up in Arlington, and we had talked about coming back to DFW area. My husband got an opportunity through his job to transfer. And so we thought, okay, if we're going to start a family, we wanted to be down here close to my parents who are getting older. And so, yeah, we made the trip down, and I, on the way, was like, ring, ring, 4-Day Weekend. Hi. And it was a really beautiful leap of faith because so Dave Wilk had been handling all of the sales and wearing so many hats within the company, but the company has always been doing this and growing and growing. And I kind of weirdly was uniquely suited to take over the sales part of that, but also join the cast organically and find where I fit best within our offerings, which is, for me, I'm not a singer. Oh, I'm not a singer, but I'm a host and I'm a performer and I can do sales. So it just worked out. So we came down here, and then a couple of years later had a little one.
It's interesting that, like, you think of comedy like you just come up on stage and you do it, but it's interesting how structured everything is. Like Second City is very structured, 4-Day Weekend is very structured. Like there's a lot of organization behind what looks organic. Like it. Yeah, what looks organic is really very structured behind the scenes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We like to say the art isn't concealing the art. So the structure is that muscle that we work. It's the yes and philosophy. Yes is actively listening and staying present, and is building on the information, particularly in a positive way. So it's actively listening, staying present, and moving things forward in a positive way. And so that structure can work in a scene, it can work in your business, it can work in a collaborative environment. And then it's interesting, I was listening to a podcast, and I think it was John Hamm was talking about his process before he steps on set. And I loved the idea. He said, I put in the work before I do the work. And that's what I try to subscribe to. So I'm never nervous on stage because, I mean, why would I be? I know who I'm talking to. I know what the event is. I know if something goes wrong, it's okay because I'll handle it and everybody has my back. And I'm going to play to the height of my intelligence, and I'm going to yes and. I mean, why would I be nervous? Yeah. So if I walk into a situation and I'm ill prepared, I haven't done the work, any of these other things kind of falter, that's when I think nerves can creep in, but I try to avoid that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I remember at the clinic or whatever we did yes and.
Yeah.
Like you build off someone, like they start a statement and then you try to build on it. And it was interesting because in the circle, there's probably 15 people there. And it was interesting how we would go negative and the instructor would stop us and go, hey, you're not, I think when we think comedy, we think, oh, it's going to be funny if I go negative with this. But he would stop us and say, no, you want to stay positive with this and build it and send it back to them in a positive note instead of getting like dark and, you know.
Well, you'll always end up in the hospital, basically. Like we're always we're in the hospital.
So I like
exactly.
That. It also the idea is to stay positive with it and not necessarily.
Which was harder than I thought it would be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, way harder.
Yeah.
It is hard. Well, it's interesting because our adult brains, whenever I do these yes and sessions, you're exactly right. So many times when people are nervous or they don't want to say the wrong thing, something negative comes out. And what that is our brain going through what's like kind of a no filter versus a yes and filter. Because no gives us the illusion of control. Our brain's saying, I don't like it. I don't want to add to it. I just make it stop. So I'm going to go negative. And what happens is when you start thinking and collaborating through no, is that you're going to create more negativity. So if one person is saying, you know, yeah, they're yes-anding, but yes-anding in a negative way. Yes, and I was in the hospital. Okay, well, yes, and when we were in the hospital, I met a cute doctor, you know, like you can try to make it positive.
Over there, yeah.
But it's really interesting.
Yeah, he smelled good.
Yeah.
Great armpit.
Okay, so time to segue. You have a cute as a button daughter, Estella. How old is she?
Thank you. She next week is going to be 5. We just had her 5th birthday yesterday, like her little party with friends.
So
That's
starting
awesome.
kindergarten this next year?
Yes, she is.
Oh, how do you feel about that?
Oh, you know, it's already flying by. But it's such a fun age right now. I wish I could freeze that like 4 or 5. It's really sweet, but we're very excited and I'm excited to not be paying for daycare.
That's true.
It's a little cherry on top.
It's the little things. That's right. First, you're excited to get out of diapers, then you're excited about not paying for daycare. Pretty soon, you'll be like not paying for college, and very happy about that as well. This is where we
are.
We're getting there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, tell me about her. Like, what's your favorite part of parenting? Like, being her mom.
Yeah, she's just such a sweet, like little empath. It's funny because what used to feel like, you know, toddler emotions are now she's able to communicate how she feels so much better. And it is so adorable, just the things that she says and how she's putting concepts and ideas together, not always the most coherent, which makes me laugh even harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain things like little, you know, she just stopped calling her uniform her unicorn, which kind of broke my heart. I haven't corrected her and I'm like, oh, you're growing.
Yes.
But yeah, it's those sweet little moments.
That reminds me when our son, he's 20 now, stopped calling Spider-Man. He called him Fighter-Man. And I thought it was so cute. He's going to finish. He's not going to do that.
Well, I have a theory that God makes them so cute when they're younger because the teenage years are coming.
They're coming.
So you have to remember, they were so cute. They were so awesome.
Oh my gosh. But, you know what I will say? Estella does call Wonder Woman, woman, which is my favorite thing in the world. Woman. It's just enough. It's woman, very powerful. And it's so cute. She says it with such conviction, Mommy, I want to be woman one day.
That's so cute. Well, I say if you put in the work when they're young and you like get all the hard things with the boundaries and all the things going when they're young, then you really like them when they're teenagers. I think we really liked our teenagers, but it's a lot of work on the front end.
Yeah.
So recently you guys went to Disney World. We are huge Disney fans. We've taken our kids there for years and years. How was this your her first time, I'm assuming? And so what were your favorite parts?
Yes. Yeah, it was in a way my first time. I went, I guess, when I was like 3 or 4. So
so this was your first time accent. Oh my goodness. So basically
it was.
And everything changed.
Yeah.
Like 2 years, like all the processes changed. So I'm brand new, everything for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I will be honest. I'll start with I won't bury the lead. We had the most wonderful, magical time. I am not a Disney mom. because I didn't grow up going to Disney. I don't enjoy the planning, all the things. But I really, thank goodness, used like a Disney planner who helped me with that. I game planned the waking up early on the Genie Plus and yada yada.
Yeah.
All that. We did all the dining experiences with all the princesses and that, all the makeovers.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my favorite moment, we were walking through and like the Grinch, how his heart, grew that was my little like not Disney mom Grinch heart. Just every day got a little bit bigger. I'm like, okay, I see why people like it. But yes, we were walking through Magic Kingdom and one of the parades was coming through. And so Ryan put her on his shoulders. And I just watched her. I didn't even look at the parade. I was watching her yell at all the characters and so genuinely excited. It was the sweetest thing. Take all my money, Disney. I get it.
Right.
It was the best.
That's all right. That's how we feel about it too. I mean, we've been over the years, but yeah, it's like every time you go, there's just something else I find that I see that I like, or we've taken some other side tours. But I took an underground tour, like below the Disney castle.
Oh, cool.
There is a whole nother, like everything operates underneath the castle. Like there's a whole system down there, including like the trash. Like you never see trash in Disney parks. Like there's so many things I love about it. It's usually pretty clean. Oh, I could go on forever.
Can I mention a moment that our kids always remember? I think they were like 10, 12, and 14, maybe. We're at Disney World, and she's the planner. Like
I am a Disney.
She's like actually this planner.
Oh, so you.
Yeah, but this is before you started that. You were already a planner. So she has the map and she's mapped out the whole day. So we're in line for the submarine ride.
And you pissed me off.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I wanted to go out of order of what we were going to do. So what was I thinking?
I threw the map at his stinky armpit and I was like, dude, you take the map. And the kids are like, what? Dad, you can tell them, you can see them talking. What are we supposed to do? Dad has the map. We're never going to see anything the rest of the day.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? It was just a suggestion.
No. None of that.
So eventually I got the map.
You learned.
Yes.
I took back over the reins. Everything went smooth.
Oh.
And, we've been married.
We've learned not to suggest anything off the map. So
yeah. That's just the way.
Oh my God.
That's my Disney memory.
That's your only Disney memory of the 100 times we've been. Great.
Yeah.
I need to create a memory.
Yeah. Okay, Emily. We have before we go, we've got to know what we asked David Wilt the same thing. We have to know your favorite joke. And remember, we're a family show, Emily. So what's like your top of mind joke you have?
And that's the problem, is that I can't tell the first 10 that come to my mind, but okay. I've got one. I gotta be honest. I've got some favorites, but okay. Let me think.
She's gonna go.
Two whales.
Okay.
Two whales.
Two whales.
Two whales walked into a bar. And they waddle up. First one sits down on the bar stool. Other one sits down. Bartender says, "All right, what can I get you?" The first whale says, second whale says, "Frank, you are drunk." It's so stupid.
Okay,
it's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's such a waste of time. I was gonna go longer, but there's no need. This podcast has got to end at some point. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not a professional.
We're gonna put a big crowd reaction under that joke for you. So.
There you go.
I'm good. Yeah. Can you follow me around with a big crowd reaction?
Absolutely, we can do
You'll
that.
That'd be great.
Not in our family.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for taking time with us today. I love improv. I love talking about it. I think it's so fascinating. I'm so encouraged by what you do. I think it's amazing and just such a gift. Honestly, it's a gift. And so we just thank you for taking time to talk to us today and inspiring all the people out there like me that think it's just amazing.
Appreciate it, Emily. Hopefully we see you soon.
Thank you so much. Yes. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
We'll catch up soon.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah.
What do you call a pig that does karate?
Steven Seagal.
What?
That was kind of funny.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, I think that was kind of funny. I didn't think I was good at jokes. No, anyways, I don't know.
It's
What
like
is it?
pig. This is.
Well, he's not really considered the nicest guy in the world.
Oh, really?
And he does martial arts.
Did not know that.
So,
Anyways,
yeah.
It's a pork chop.
oh, okay.
So that's like my one little joke that I would know. And then, like, what do you call someone else's cheese? Nacho.
Nacho cheese.
I mean, they're the basic ones, but I'm not really good at those.
These are building blocks to work on.
Building blocks,
Yeah.
yes. And so I really want to go do some more of those classes that she talked about. Please, 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 can we go?
One day we'll be in Second City.
Yes, I want.
Or maybe you.
Yeah.
I'll go. I'll hang along with you.
Yeah,
I'll do
you
graphics for
do-
you.
There were some classes though that you want to do that was like character development.
Oh no, I want to do them not necessarily to become a performer, but just to kind of, like Emily's talking about, just learn about people more and behavior and how to relate to people.
Maybe you can go get one of those long name fancy degrees.
Oh yeah, online. Whether it's accredited or not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
I just want to be able to hang it up in my
Hey,
office.
you're a graphic artist. You can create whatever degree you
Oh
want.
yeah. I just finished at MIT actually. It was pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah, it felt like that. I
Like
was
that.
done. Yeah.
Right, exactly. It probably took you like half a day to whip that up.
Yeah. Me and Elon Musk.
You can get in some trouble for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the world with my fake MIT degree.
That's right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Emily Z. She is fascinating. Go get you some tickets to 4-day weekend, Dallas Fort Worth, or find one in your city wherever you are.
And I'll put the link in our show notes so you'll have that and you can click
Yeah.
right to it.
And if you're daring enough, take a class because it's so fun and they're free.
They're so
They're
free.
totally free. So you've got to go do that. We hope you enjoyed this. Hardy Party of 5 1/2 over and out.
We'll see you next time.